My name is Yvonne Irwin, 42 years old. Until last year, I worked at a cosmetics company, but I resigned due to my mother-in-law's injury. I started living with her to take care of her, and now I spend all day by her side. My husband, Tom, is a salesperson at a major pharmaceutical company, but he doesn't come home too late. Still, I'm the one who takes care of my mother-in-law all day every day. However, she has been cold to me since the beginning of our marriage. When we first met to introduce ourselves for the wedding, she harshly said, "You seem like a quiet girl. Can you really keep a household?" I've been uncomfortable with my mother-in-law since that first impression and have tried to avoid her as much as possible after getting married. So, when my husband asked me to take care of his mother, I almost cried. Please quit your job and devote yourself to taking care of Mom. No way. What do you think of my job?
Please. I'll help out after work and on weekends.
Help out, huh? After being asked repeatedly by my husband, I eventually gave in. I gave up my career and now spend my days just for my mother-in-law. Sorry, I have an unavoidable dinner tomorrow, so I'll be home late. Again. You've been having a lot of these lately. Yeah, it's troubling me too. My bad feeling was right, and my husband began coming home late more frequently. Although he wasn't the type to go out drinking with coworkers before, he suddenly started, and sometimes came home in the middle of the night. Moreover, on weekends he would leave without saying where he was going. He said it would be different at the beginning. In the end, it's just me. I became increasingly frustrated with my husband. Still, if my mother-in-law had even once thanked me, things might have been different, but she only grumbled to be cared for by you. Moreover, it seems she was complaining about me to my husband. Hey, don't make Mom do things she hates. Things she hates? You forced her to walk, didn't you? Are you talking about rehab? No. The doctor said to do it every day at home.
Anyway, Mom hates it. Do as she wishes.
I started to wonder why I was even trying so hard. My mother-in-law injured her leg, so she needed help with bathing and moving around. Even though a helper comes once a week, it was just too hard, and I was reaching my limit. One day, as I was trying to get her out of bed, it happened. Here we go, ouch. A sharp pain shot through my back. I threw my back out. Thrown out back? Yeah. The doctor said I need to rest for a while. Who's gonna take care of Mom? Huh? I thought he'd at least ask if I was okay. But there was no sign of concern from my husband. Now I have another person who needs care. You're useless. I'm not doing anything. I'm sorry. I lay in bed and covered my face. I didn't want him to see me crying. True to his word, he really didn't do anything. I pushed myself to do the housework. Please, I really can't take care of your mother right now. I pleaded with my husband multiple times, and finally, he agreed to call the helper more often. What a waste of money. He muttered. When my back started to get better, I noticed his cell phone left on the desk. It wasn't locked, and the screen was still on. I accidentally saw it, and it was a confirmation screen for a trip reservation. He had booked a weekend getaway for two at a hotel with spa. Hey, I accidentally saw this, but are you taking me on a trip? Maybe he does care about me after all. But that was a huge mistake. Trip? No way I'm going with you. What? I'm going with someone from work. It's your misunderstanding. How embarrassing, sorry. I felt utterly miserable. 2 weeks later, my husband left me and my mother-in-law and went on the trip. He left early in the morning, all excited, and I just watched him silently. Then the next day, as I heard a loud noise at the front door, my husband rushed into the living room looking frantic. Welcome back. What's up? Why are you so excited? I got a lover 18 years younger pregnant. Divorce me. What? Excuse the interruption. A woman, clearly in her 20s, peeked out from behind him. And you are? I'm Mirabelle from the same company as Tom. Your husband has always taken good care of me. She introduced herself with a bright smile, her skin glowing radiantly. So, of course, you'll agree. You don't have a choice. I paused for a moment, then said, Fine. Then I won't be coming for the caregiving anymore. That's how it goes. After the divorce, my mother-in-law and I would be complete strangers. This Mirabelle would take over the caregiving instead. But my husband had an incredibly selfish argument. No, you'll keep caregiving till the end. I'm skinny and have no muscle, I absolutely can't. Right. If someone delicate like you did caregiving, you'd get hurt. He hugged Mirabelle's shoulder and pulled her towards him. He didn't care when I hurt my back. I realized there was no love left for me from my husband. That's fine, right? After all, you're unemployed. I might as well pay you something like minimum wage. That's impossible. Huh? What do you mean impossible? Are you refusing? Yes, it's impossible. Because your mother.
Don't blame Mom.
My husband slammed the desk with all his might. For the first time, my usually non-violent husband showed aggression. I instinctively stepped back.
Getting smart with me, huh? You need this kind of treatment.
He raised his hand above his head, about to strike me. That's when it happened.
Stop it.
My mother-in-law shouted loudly, stopping my husband in his tracks. Mom, you can walk? There she stood, using a cane and standing on her own legs. My husband was shocked to see his supposedly wheelchair-bound mother standing.
Right now, that doesn't matter. What's going on here?
Questioned by his mother, my husband snapped back to reality.
She's saying she won't take care of you anymore.
That's right. Because I've decided to go into a nursing home. A nursing home? My husband immediately glared at me.
Are you trying to get rid of Mom from her own home because she's in the way? You heartless woman.
How can you say that to Yvonne? I decided to go to the facility myself. What? Why are you defending her? Weren't you two always at odds? We've cleared up our issues. What issues? Yes, my mother-in-law and I had issues to deal with. I couldn't move my body as I wanted because of my injury, and I inadvertently took it out on Yvonne. But even so, she continued to care for me. During a bath, my mother-in-law suddenly apologized to me. I too was terribly bullied by my mother-in-law in the past. I always thought I wouldn't do the same, but the more conscious I was of it, the less I knew how to behave, and I ended up treating you terribly. I also gave up on our relationship too quickly just because you treated me coldly at first. I should have made more of an effort to bridge the gap. After we resolved our issues, my mother-in-law started to frequently say thank you. As our conversations increased at home, my mother-in-law became more cheerful. I initially hated the idea of rehab, but I thought having such negative thoughts was just boring. I felt like I was wasting the rest of my life, so I decided to really commit to it. Now, I can even walk short distances without a cane. You wouldn't know since you've been using drinking and trips as excuses to stay away from home. How does that relate to Mom deciding to go to the facility? It's good that Mom can walk a bit now, congratulations. Saying this, my husband clapped his hands slowly, as if mocking. My mother-in-law, faced with my husband's frivolous attitude, said firmly, "To free Yvonne." What's that supposed to mean? It's like you're saying she's been imprisoned against her will. Well, isn't that the case? You pushed her to take care of me alone while you messed around. Enough with the jokes. I'm not joking. Mirabelle and I are seriously dating. That's right, that's why we're planning to get married.
Shut up, you mistress.
What? How can you say that to Mirabelle? You're the reason I decided to move into the facility. That way, even if we divorce, Yvonne won't have to take care of me anymore. I didn't want to burden her any further. When my mother-in-law first told me this, I said she didn't need to worry about me and didn't have to move into a facility. But once she made up her mind, her decision was firm. I've decided to use the money from selling this house and my savings to move into the facility. You won't get a penny from me.
You sold the house?
My husband gaped, repeating my mother-in-law's words. Yes, it's an old house, but it sold for more than expected because of its good location.
What, you really sold it? Are you kidding me? What are we gonna do now? I was planning to kick Yvonne out and live here with Mirabelle.
In my husband's mind, he probably saw a future of living happily in this house with his new wife. But that dream quickly shattered. So we can't live in this house? Where are we supposed to go? Mirabelle grabbed Tom's arm and started complaining. Tom said we wouldn't have to pay rent because we have a house, and we'd eventually get your mom's estate, so it didn't matter if I didn't work too hard. I quit my job, you know. You quit your job. When did this happen? As soon as I found out I was pregnant. And you did that without discussing it with me? What? You want a pregnant woman to work? No, that's not what I'm saying. The conversation between the two veered off in a different direction with no signs of returning. Just as I was about to intervene, Tom looked towards his mother. Why would you make such an important decision without consulting me first? I'm your son. You should have talked to me, not her. If he had known, he would have done everything to stop it, wouldn't he? Does he really not understand that? You too. Me? Suddenly pointed at, I tilted my head. Yes, you. Why didn't you stop her? Yvonne tried to stop me. But I was the one who wanted to go to the facility. Blaming her is completely wrong. Tom seemed frustrated, his lips quivering as he ran out of ways to blame me. I shouldn't be the one to say this, but the way you treat Yvonne is truly awful. That's why I've been saying I want to free her from this house ever since I found out you were cheating. Mom, you knew? Since when? About a month ago. I thought your behavior was suspicious, so I hired a private investigator. They delivered evidence to the house when you were at work and Yvonne was out shopping. My mother-in-law had managed to hire a private investigator through online searches and had the evidence of Tom's affairs shown to me beforehand. You were eventually going to tell Yvonne about the divorce, and when I move into the facility, she can be free. It was all part of my plan. Even so, going to a facility you didn't want? Oh, I never said I didn't want to go. After visiting the facility she was planning to move into, my mother-in-law actually liked it very much. Being a sociable person, she seemed excited about being in a place where she could meet others her age. And this facility is practically like a condo. It has 24-hour nursing staff, each room is a private room with a lock, and the privacy is perfect. How much does such a luxury nursing home cost anyway? That's a secret.
Don't mess with me.
Tom suddenly raised his voice at his mother. I could just keep leaving the caregiving to this woman and save all that extra money. What's this about a luxury nursing home? Such a waste of money.
This house was left to me by my late father, and the savings are all my own doing. You have no right to tell me what to do. You foolish son.
What? Faced head-on by his own mother, Tom looked as if he had been swindled. And she didn't miss the chance to strike again. You have no house, no inheritance coming. There's no point in staying with Tom anymore. Mirabelle? I mean, it's true, right? If there's no money, there's no benefit to being with an old guy like you. So you were just after my money? I grew up in a single-parent home, where I learned the hard way how important money is. And now this treatment? So you were such a shallow woman. What's wrong with being shallow? This is my life. I couldn't help but be a bit impressed with Mirabelle boldly stating her mind. Despite how she looked, she must have gone through a lot of hardships. Her straightforward admission that she was after money seemed rather tough and smart to me. Tom and Mirabelle's argument went on endlessly. But in the end, it was just the same things being said over and over, a completely empty fight. How long do I have to listen to this? I tried to stifle a yawn that almost escaped, trying to endure this situation. At that moment, my mother-in-law raised her voice with a force I had never heard before.
Enough. If you're going to fight over pointless things, do it outside. This is already decided. Whether you like it or not, I'm going to the facility. That's final.
Under my mother-in-law's pressure, the two of them stopped dead in their tracks. I also caught my breath in surprise. So my plans are ruined. And now I'm losing my childhood home, too. Can you believe this? Oh no, our marriage is off then. Mirabelle sighed as she told Tom. What about the child? You said you quit your job. There's no way you can raise a child alone as a woman. I'm going to terminate the pregnancy. Are you serious? Very serious. I just found out I'm pregnant, and there's still time to have an abortion. The abortion consent form requires a partner's signature too. I will never sign it. That's fine. I'll just get one of my guy friends to sign it.
I won't allow it. Don't think you can just break up with me now.
Tom seemed extremely invested in Mirabelle, his determination to remarry her palpable. Seeing her son like this, my mother-in-law staggered a bit, seemingly shocked. Mother, don't strain yourself. Please sit down here. Or would you like to go back to bed? No, I'll keep going until I sort out these two hopeless people. It seemed like her eyes were saying she'd do whatever it takes to drive Tom and Mirabelle away. Mirabelle, don't rush this decision. Think it over again, okay? Tom seemed to have switched tactics to gently persuading Mirabelle. He looked like a neighbor trying to feed a stray cat that's hissing at him. However, this approach only backfired with Mirabelle.
Creepy. Annoying. If I said I'm going to do it, I will. I'm not marrying you. Don't make me say it again. There's no point being with a broke old man. Getting cocky just because I'm being nice. You, just a temp worker.
Tom, outraged, raised his fist. As if he was going to hit Mirabelle. That clearly wasn't right. I quickly grabbed Tom's right hand but was about to swing down.
What are you doing? Let go. She's pregnant. Violence is absolutely not okay. Shut up. No.
Tom pushed me so hard that I fell to the floor. I almost hit my head on the corner of the dining table. Yvonne, are you hurt? I gestured to my mother-in-law to stay seated as she tried to stand up, and said, I'm okay. I just fell on my butt. So, this is Tom's true nature. Oh, no. Mirabelle hugged herself and put on a show of being scared. Good thing I found out before getting married. Otherwise, I'd be living in fear of violence every day. This was just a moment of anger. I don't normally do this. I'm serious, believe me. Tom then wrapped Mirabelle's hands in his own. Though it looked like a scene from a drama, in reality, it was just a 42-year-old man clinging to a 24-year-old woman. It was not a pleasant sight to behold. Enough already. Mirabelle forcefully shook off Tom's hands and stepped back from him. If you keep pressing this, I have my plans too. Plans? If things don't work out with you, I'll tell the company you forced yourself on me. Don't mess with me. We were officially dating. Besides, who would believe the word of a temp worker like you? With this, everyone will believe me. Saying that, Mirabelle pulled out her cell phone from her designer bag and began tapping on it with her perfectly manicured nails. Then a voice started playing from the phone. After work, let's go to a French restaurant. I've made reservations at a nice place. What is this? I planned to use this recording to blackmail you if things didn't work out. I never thought I'd actually need it, but here we are.
You were recording our conversations.
Tom's face went pale instantly. Sure enough, anyone listening would think Tom was seducing Mirabelle. The kids these days are scary. The audio continued to play. Thanks for your hard work. I'll give you a massage. How about we go out for drinks, just the two of us afterward? You're staying over tonight, right? Stop it, stop it. This is unfair. Your voice is cleverly cut out. You were keen on it too, weren't you? What are you talking about?
You.
That's not all. There's this too. Mirabelle manipulated her phone again, this time turning the screen towards Tom. Curious, I peeked over and saw it was a text message exchange between Tom and Mirabelle. I read aloud from the top. I had fun today. I'd like to go out for a meal, just the two of us again, not after work but on a weekend. Tom had sent this message, to which Mirabelle had not replied, probably to avoid leaving evidence. So, instead of replying to my messages, you approached me directly at work. I thought to myself, that's a clever technique to avoid leaving evidence while still giving the joy of direct conversation. Mirabelle must be quite the strategist. I'll make you regret deceiving me into thinking you had money. I'll submit this to the company and tell them that's why I resigned. Mirabelle was smiling triumphantly, her chin lifted. Please don't do that. My career, the position I've built up. I don't care. Goodbye. Mirabelle turned her back on Tom and stepped towards the front door. That's when it happened. The doorbell rang. Oh, who could that be? My mother-in-law touched her cheek and tilted her head, barely hiding a smile that only I could see. I'll go check. I took the initiative to head to the front door and welcomed the visitor into the house. We've been expecting you. Please come in, everyone's here.
Hey, who's come now? We're busy, don't let visitors in at a time like this.
Tom shouted from the living room. I led the guest in and headed back to the living room. Is that something you should be saying? I stepped to the left, revealing the person standing behind me.
Mom?
Mirabelle exclaimed in surprise. Mom? Mirabelle's? Nice to meet you, I'm Ellie, Mirabelle's mother. She greeted to all of us. By the way, she is 42 years old, the same age as you, Tom. 42? That means you had Mirabelle when you were. I had her when I was 18. Ellie, Mirabelle's mother, clearly had the presence of a strong woman, having raised a child on her own from a young age. Why is your mother here? Yvonne kindly told me everything. That you were trying to steal someone's husband after an affair. Mirabelle glared at fiercely, took a step back. Thanks to the mother-in-law who did the infidelity investigation, I found out it was you who was the other woman when my husband and Mirabelle went on a trip. I contacted Ellie during that time. Mirabelle, you didn't tell your mom you were involved with a married man, did you? As if I could say that. Are you stupid?
Mirabelle.
Damn.
If Yvonne hadn't told me, I would have been deceived. Thinking my daughter was marrying a married man. Really, just like your divorced father.
Ellie said sharply to Mirabelle. Apparently, Mirabelle's father had disappeared after an affair. I couldn't get child support, and since I didn't have much education, I had to work multiple part-time jobs to get you through high school, and this is the result? At Ellie's words, Mirabelle bit her lip and looked down. And you too, Tom. Yes? Called by name, Tom straightened up like a schoolboy. Did you enjoy dating a girl 18 years younger than you, even getting her pregnant while being married? Ah, well, that. Like a frog being stared down by a snake, Tom was frozen in place. I've wanted to have a proper conversation with you for a while, so I asked to be invited here today. I came as soon as I got the call earlier. Thank you for coming?
Don't joke.
Ellie slammed the table, causing Tom's shoulders to jolt in surprise. It was funny to see Tom, who usually works assertively at a major company, shrink in front of a woman his own age. You'll be held responsible for this. Responsible, you say? Child support, of course. Why do I even have to state the obvious? Mirabelle has said she won't marry you, so you'll be supporting this unemployed woman, right? Since you're the father of the child she's carrying. No, I was thinking of actually marrying Mirabelle.
Absolutely not.
Which is it? Our living room had turned into total chaos. Tom insisting on remarriage, Mirabelle refusing to marry, Ellie demanding child support, whether they would marry or not. My mother-in-law and I were completely out of the loop. Ellie finally put an end to the situation. I'm taking Mirabelle back with me today. Yvonne, Grandma, I'm truly sorry for any trouble we've caused. Ellie apologized to us. The only good thing was that Ellie turned out to be a sensible adult.
Come on, Mirabelle. We're leaving.
Wait, Mom. That hurts.
Hurry up. You good for nothing.
Ellie forcefully pulled Mirabelle's hand and left our house. The chaos earlier seemed like a lie as silence fell in the living room. Those of us left behind were quietly looking at each other, wondering who would speak first. Tom was the first to break the silence. Yvonne. He spoke awkwardly to me, clearly exhausted and defeated. Then, seemingly seeking sympathy, he said this. Should we try again?
You must be joking.
I'm not joking. I probably can't remarry Mirabelle. If things stay like this, I'll be divorced. You don't know how a single man is viewed in the workplace. So, it wasn't about loving me, but rather for his job, for himself. I'm appalled. How could you think I'd agree after hearing that? Don't you feel sorry for me? I might not even have a home to return to. Not at all? You're really a she-devil. If that's the case, then you are a real fool. Just because it benefits you, you get all cocky. Fine. Then at least convince your mother. Convince her of what? To stop her from selling the house. She might listen to you now. I will not. My mother-in-law spoke up. Why don't you speak up instead of whispering, so we can all hear you? Well, because... Pathetic. Yvonne, you can do as you please from here. Thank you, Mother. What are you planning to do? I took a piece of paper from the shelf and gently placed it on the table. Divorce papers. Sign them quickly. My section was already filled out. After a long pause, he signed, as if giving up with a trembling hand. Thank you. I'll submit these to the office. Thank you for everything up to now. Thus, our divorce was finalized. After the divorce, I continued to live with my mother-in-law and care for her until she moved into the facility and the house was handed over. Yvonne, truly, thank you for everything. As my mother-in-law spoke as if it were a farewell for this life, I smiled. Don't say such lonely things. I plan to visit you at the facility, so please don't refuse to see me. Oh, what should I do? My mother-in-law and I laughed over a warm cup of tea. By this time, her legs had improved further, and she could walk freely around the house with the aid of a cane. As for my ex-husband Tom, he managed to avoid having his affair exposed at work thanks to Mirabelle's evidence, but in return, he ended up living with Mirabelle and Ellie. Tom had no home to return to, so he had no other choice. It seems they decided not to terminate the pregnancy after all. But by the time the baby is an adult, Tom will be 60 years old. That's no joke. From now on, Tom will have to keep working for his new family. And then, I managed to get re-employed. The cosmetics company I thought I had left for good rehired me. After hearing from a former colleague that I was looking for work because of my divorce. I'm grateful to be working in a familiar environment again. Busy as I am, feeling like a part of society again is very fulfilling. Tomorrow I'm going to visit my mother-in-law. Maybe I should buy some cream puffs. She really likes the ones from that shop. Today is Friday. I rush home carrying a gift for my mother-in-law. I wonder if she would like it. From now on, I've decided to enjoy life to the fullest, while also making time to visit my mother-in-law.